You ever been to Jekyll Island? Of course not, you weren't invited.
Ain't that some shit?
At least not until 1958, whenever they opened it to the public. Before then, it was like Fort Knox if Fort Knox had more money. Today, we're going to tap into why the country's going bankrupt, and it all started with a duck hunting trip. In the late 1800s, John Eugene Dubignon, which I do not like saying his name, so for the remainder of the video, I'm going to refer to him as Douche.
That's right, a douchebag.
So, Douche and his brother-in-law, Newton Finney, as well as a handful of investors, decided to buy an island off the Atlantic coast of Georgia for 125 grand, which is like almost $4 million today. It was named Jekyll Island in 1733 when General James Oglethorpe dedicated the island to his friend Jacob Jekyll for his financial contribution of $600 to the colonies. I already know what you're thinking. What the hell does any of this have to do with the country being as financially responsible as a crackhead? Well, kind of everything. Now, the purchase of the island wasn't for no reason. They did have something in mind. Douche and Newton really just wanted to start this members-only exclusive club designed for the wealthiest and most powerful people in America. Well, why would they want to do that?
To take over the world.
Newton Finney was really just turned on to the idea since joining the New York Union Club. If you don't know, it's kind of this uppity, high-class, members-only club where you have to wear the proper attire even while playing squash, or you have to use an alternate entrance through the basement. Yes, not even kidding. Says so on their website. So Douche, Finney, and these handful of investors start their own high-class, members-only club, except on steroids. Some of these original guys include Henry Baldwin Hyde, founder of the Equitable Life Assurance Society, and if you don't know, that's the OG insurance issuer as well as the dick who wrote the rules on making a claim impossible to achieve. Marshall Field, a department store magnate. J.P. Morgan, the financial titan. Joseph Pulitzer, a newspaper publisher, and if you don't know, at the time, if it was in the newspaper, it got around faster than a kiss cam scandal at a Coldplay concert. William K. Vanderbilt, the railroad and shipping heir. Walter Furness, he was an architect that graduated Harvard, and he actually ends up selling his shares in 1901 after being blinded in one eye from a game of rackets, where he ultimately had to give up architecture.
Well, it better not screw up my short game.
And last but most importantly, Lloyd Aspinwall, the club's first president. Now, I want to shed a little light on Lloyd here, because there is a little controversy shrouding his presidency over the club. Now, Lloyd Aspinwall was the only one of these original founders that ever actually lifted a finger to do anything. Everybody else kind of just came from money. Now, as a Civil War veteran, he was by no means a poor man, but he was not part of the founders of the Jekyll Island Club because of his wealth. More so, his status. This guy was tapped in. He served in the military multiple times, even as an aide to General Ambrose Burnside before the Battle of Fredericksburg. He was actually the first guy to alert President Lincoln about the battle, ultimately achieving his highest rank as Brigadier General.
I have a story time.
That's right, and people must respect it.
But it was not just his military service that granted him status. He was the founder and president of the Army and Navy Club, appointed engineer and staff for the New York Governor Alonzo B. Cornell's military staff. His father was the co-founder of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Even his wife was the granddaughter of the U.S. Senator and Representative of Rhode Island, James DeWolf. Now here's where it gets a little bit shady, because before he was ever able to sit as the acting president of the Jekyll Island Club, he unexpectedly died September 4th, 1886 of what was basically a stroke. Some say he was killed due to opposing the Federal Reserve.
Are you threatening me?
Others say it's because Aspinwall was not going to be able to financially survive the upcoming Great Depression, which they fully anticipated would happen after crunching numbers for maybe 30 seconds.
Jay broke.
So they forcefully remove him to protect the image of the most prestigious club in the world.
He's all right. He's resting.
I mean, we can't have a poor president. That would look pretty bad for us.
Ew, poor!
Now, if you haven't been paying attention, let's recap, shall we? You have a founding insurance broker, a banking titan, an industry marketing tycoon, a railroad and shipping heir, a newspaper publisher, an architect, and a brigadier general that turned lawyer. Oh yeah, Aspinwall was a lawyer too. Put all these together and you have the megazord of economic domination. Not even kidding. These guys collectively owned 1/6 of the world's wealth at the time. Well, enough about the people, let's talk about the plan.
Take a look at this!
In 1885, the Jekyll Island Club was incorporated, and what better way to attract wealthy investors? Sell shares, $600 a pop. That would be just under 20 grand today. Oh, and to maintain that exclusive feature, they're only going to sell 100 of them. That's right, only 100 members for this billionaire island getaway. Can't have a club without a clubhouse, right? So, a couple years later, in 1888, the Jekyll Island Club house was built. And although there were never any claims of such behavior, it kind of screams Epstein Island to me. But nonetheless, this is where the magic ends up taking place. Fast forward to 1910. The club's prospered for almost 15 years at this point, holding that legacy of just straight up wealth. With that comes more influential people, more like-minded economic assassins ready to hijack every American's assets.
Hey! Kick! Now run that shit, bitch! Yummy!
Now at the time, it was this big old secret, but it has been corroborated and confirmed that there was a meeting that took place with a handful of these guys. Now, it was a small group of bankers and politicians. This was not club exclusive. This was a small group within the club. Disguising this big meeting as a duck hunting trip, you have people like Senator Nelson Aldrich, Paul Warburg, reps from the Morgan, Vanderbilt, and Rockefeller empires. And from this meeting, the Federal Reserve was crafted up.
No! God, please, no!
No longer a dream or an idea for the future of the country, the Federal Reserve is born in 1913.
Do you have money jitters? Ask for a jar of soothing instant money, M-O-N-E-Y, in the form of a convenient personal loan.
And thus we've arrived at the crux of the video. The Federal Reserve is a bankruptcy machine. And it's all made possible because of the modern money mechanics of this fractional reserve banking system. The system is made up of 3 parts. Number 1, fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking is simply creating money out of thin air. Imagine, you go to the bank and deposit $1 million. The baseline fractional reserve required is typically 10%, meaning that from $1 million deposit, the bank is required to reserve $100,000 while adding the remaining $900,000 to the money supply. Now, assume I go and take a loan for $900,000 right away. You would think that that $900,000 comes from the money that was just added to the money supply. But no. That additional $900,000 was just created out of thin air simply because there was a demand for such a loan. Then, happy as a clam, I take my check to my own bank, deposit $900,000. The bank will then hold $90,000 and put the other $810,000 in the money supply, and this process repeats indefinitely. Number 2, the federal funds rate. Simply adjusting the interest rates. Low interest rates means it's a booming economy. High interest rates means you're not getting a new Ferrari. But this is when the control comes in because they can fluctuate it whenever they want for whatever reason they want. Literally dictating the flow of currency through our economy. And number 3, open market operations. The Fed buys and sells treasury bonds from the government at whatever amount they so choose, and in return, they give the government Federal Reserve notes, or what we simply call cash. So what gives our money value? The amount of money in circulation, of course. And since every Federal Reserve note is printed with interest, the only way to pay it back is by printing more money, thus creating a vicious cycle of inflation, debt, and inevitable bankruptcy. So, there you have it. Shady club having shady meetings and shady conversations and ultimately funding the nation using perpetual debt that is 100% impossible to pay off. The only way we're going to unfuck the country is abolishing the Federal Reserve, reinstating the gold standard, and cut the bullshit. So keep this video in mind next time you decide to call Uncle Phil crazy for stockpiling his gold and silver. Till next time, stay psyched.